Let's do this. Listicle, baby. It's the top 9 scariest monsters in RTA. That's not necessarily the intro, unless you want it to be. We're in the middle of SWC 2023 right now. That means we've gotten exposure to a lot of the most terrifying monsters in Summoner's War. So today I thought it'd be fun to talk about the top 9 scariest monsters in RTA. Number 9. Juno won this spot on the list for winning a 1v1 against Meiho Wang. I'm mostly kidding though. Juno earned the spot on the list completely on her own, which is a really fun narrative for her because Juno used to be what's commonly known as a storage guardian.
How rude.
In the olden times, her passive ability would only proc if there were 2 or more debuffs on her at the start of a turn. Now, regardless of however many debuffs there are on her, she will cleanse them at the start of her turn, and she gets a speed buff applied so that way she gets to her turn faster. Couple that with a first skill that cycles her attack bar and also pairs very well with additional damage artifacts, and you have a terrifying monster that is worthy of the number 9 slot. And I didn't even talk about the fact that she has a full team strip on skill 2. And because she puts dots in the place of the buffs that she strips, she can make an RTA game look like Trial of Ascension. Number 8, Etna. When Etna's in play, you can almost guarantee that something is gonna get destroyed on turn 1. First of all, Etna has a ridiculously high base speed, so that means you're gonna get more mileage out of the speed on your runes than you would on other units. To talk about Etna's potential impact on a game, we really need to talk about her skills. Her skill 3 offers a lot of disruption. She hits 5 times, will attempt to steal whatever buffs are on the opponent, and as long as they're below 50% by the end of the attack, it's gonna auto-stun them. Otherwise, it'll just attempt it. So that means you rune her really fast, and then you lock down whatever unit is the biggest threat to you, be it a Wusa, a Chungpung, literally anything else. And then her skill 2 will attempt to apply AoE defense break across 2 hits on every opponent. And every time she crits, she's gonna gain attack bar. So there's a high chance that you're actually gonna cycle all the way back to the next turn as long as there's enough people on board. The synergy is outstanding. That means that she's gonna get back to that 3rd skill way faster than God intended. So for all those reasons, Etna definitely deserves number 8. But I'll tell you who deserves number 7. It's Narsha, the light beast rider. Someone is dying turn 1. That's Narsha's motto. Narsha's kind of like a hybrid between Masha and Lauren, which is just a crazy sentence in general. Narsha's all about going fast and eliminating people just as quickly. She's gonna passively gain speed as long as people take turns, and then whenever she attacks somebody, she gets a speed buff and she defense breaks them. I don't need to say anything else. We know that's crazy.
I knew it.
And will only goes so far against her because her skill 2 strips, puts dots in the place of whatever she removed, and then she's gonna apply a defense break because of her passive. This monster's crazy, and I really like her. You probably knew this monster was gonna be on the list. At number 6, we have Tian Lang, the Light Panda Warrior. Tian Lang offers something incredibly unique, and that is that he halves the amount of attack bar gain that people get, and he instead gets a portion of it. So your attack bar gain is less efficient, and you're also inadvertently giving him turns. And he's built to take advantage of those turns with a defense break on skill 1, also a strip and stun on skill 2. We've already talked about some of these units in the list today being disruptive. Tian Lang is even more so disruptive, just in a different, very unique way. Look at all the attack bar gain that's in the meta right now. Look at Juno, look at all of these monsters are hindered by Tian Lang. But don't put those last 2 in because I haven't talked about them yet, and they're on the list. At number 5, we have the second beast rider on the list. It's Masha, the Fire One. Masha's proven to have staying power in the meta of RTA. She puts immunity on herself after every single attack she makes, and honestly, her kit could stop there and she'd be usable. But she also has a skill 2 that applies defense break, does big damage, and cycles her. And a slow on skill 1 is nothing to scoff at. Part of what makes Masha so cool too is that she's a semi-neutral pick. She doesn't necessarily give away your strategy just by picking her, and you can be flexible considering she's good in a lot of situations. Also, whenever we're in a sort of wind-heavy meta or even fire-neutral meta, she's so good. Plus, she has a nasty habit of critting on water. Number 4. Wow. There was a time where this unit could have been number 1 or number 2. But honestly, number 4 is actually still, like, I'm looking ahead, number 4 is still pretty good. Number 4 is Shizuka, the Water Onmyuji. We all know about Shizuka at this point. And this is even crazier when you consider that this is following a nerf. Shizuka has been nerfed recently so that her skill 2 can no longer target herself, and it won't reduce the cooldown times of allies that have already been taken down. So that's 2 different nerfs in the books, and she is still this deep on the scariest RTA units. Really puts things in perspective, doesn't it? Shizuka does something that no one else does. She tries to apply every single debuff and every single buff that's been applied in the game thus far. The former to your opponents, and the latter to your allies. Plus, she has an extremely flexible skill too, and her skill 1's not bad. Part of the reason why Shizuka is so terrifying though is because her big skill 3 payoff is practically element neutral. Because it isn't attempting to do a hit on an opponent, you can't glance with it. So that's really gnarly. So not to say that Shizuka isn't a force to be reckoned with. However, we've already seen a couple examples of games in SWC where Shizuka's nerf was really impactful. Take the game with Zephyr, where he tried to bring back the Light Ezio, but he was short 1 turn cooldown in order to use the big nuke on skill 3. Or when the Dark Robo really needed that 1 more turn on his cooldown times. Shizuka is an absolute house, but she still deserves to be number 4. Number 3, Miles, the Water Sky Surfer. Miles is an incredible damage dealer because he doesn't even need to be built on damage. The way Miles' passive is structured, he gets additional speed for however many buffs are in play, and he ignores defense based on his attack speed. So that means you can rune up an incredibly tanky and fast Miles and get a damage dealer. And that's just wild. His skill 1 absorbs attack bar and his second skill strips 1 unit and has a chance to stun. And since that additional damage ignores defense, you'll find that Miles can even deal significant damage to units that he doesn't have attribute advantage over. He'll hit super hard on a wind unit. Number 2, another member of the Sky Surfer family, it's Oliver, the Wind Sky Surfer. Now allegedly, he's been nerfed a couple times directly and another time through game system changes. But I don't know, I don't see it. What's even crazier in retrospect is that Oliver used to be terrible, but now he's one of the biggest success stories of Summoner's War. He got a 33% speed lead, and gosh dang, if that really helps. Oliver's main game plan is increasing cooldown times and cycling turns. His 3rd skill does it, his 2nd skill does it, and his 1st skill is the same as Miles. And as you play with and against an Oliver, you'll find you're just taking way more turns than the opponent and keeping them on lockdown. Now that's incumbent on your opponent to bring some immunity or something to at least make you jump through a few hoops before you get your strategy online. Now you couple that with a reliable way to get his cooldown times back, maybe cycle his turns through another unit, or increasing cooldown times further with something say like a Chung Pung, then your enemy is never using skills again. Hello everyone, it's Evan from the future, here to bring you 2 more monsters that I thought should just be recognized because we're running dangerously low on numbers on the list. And if I could expand it by a couple, I would probably add in Wedgette and Laura. Absolute menaces in RTA currently, and I feel like the video wouldn't be complete without them. So here's me putting them in the video, okay? Cool. See myself out. That little rat